But that doesn't mean that we can't see adoption and use and utility and all the stuff that's going to drive significant price into these assets before the end of the year here. It just means that it's not cemented in law, right? So Congress passes laws, these regulators interpret those laws, and under the current administration, as things sit now, we have a very friendly SEC and CFTC toward crypto. And the other thing I would say is once the genie's out of the bottle, you cannot put it back in. Once this underpins the entire financial system, and there are trillions and trillions of dollars worth of stable coins and other issued assets on chain, you can't go back the other direction. They can't unwind that. So it matters for future administrations. If we did see, a change in regime here in the U.S. back to a Democratic Party, it would keep them from, changing out seats on these governing bodies and, trying to roll things back. But like I said, I don't think they could do that anyway. I think here by the end of 2026, we're going to see multiple protocols that underpin the entire financial system globally, and it's just going to be that way in perpetuity beyond that. So that's where things are at. On the carry trade side of things, we've kind of stalled, but we are starting to see the yen appreciate against the dollar again. So that means somebody is selling U.S. treasuries and buying yen and driving bond yields up. Japan's bond yields have actually come back a little bit. We're at 2.38 or 2.837 on the 10-year. That's the one that I watch the most because that's the one that I think matters the most. When we go above 3% on that, if we had an aggressive move from here above 3%, they're going to have to raise interest rates, and the whole thing that I've been talking about for more than 2 years will play out. So that's what I'm waiting on. The catalyst for that, I do think, is going to be the U.S. stopping to export oil. We are about 50 million barrels away from the bare minimum that's required for our reserves, and I do think at some point, Trump or the administration or Bessent or somebody else will come out and say, we're halting exports globally, and as it, the strait's still shut down, that's going to have huge impacts on other governments and countries around the world and their ability to access energy. They're going to have skyrocketing inflation, and the only way they're going to be able to combat that is to raise interest rates. Or also, they could increase the velocity of money. So there's two components to inflation. If you wanted to reduce M2 money supply, or the total amount of money in an economy, you could make that money move faster through the economy. And that is exactly what these digital assets do. So I've been on multiple podcasts today. I did 3 different podcasts today. I'm sure you guys will see those come out. I think, Malt Media actually put that one out. So shout out to Jake over there. Enjoyed that with him. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out. Asked some good questions. We talked about a $10,000 XRP and what's required for that. I know you guys like that topic. We do have one super chat from Monday that I will get to, but I always forget to say this, so I'm going to say it here, and I'll probably try to remember one more time. But please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you're over there on YouTube. It does help the algorithm, helps us, grow the channel. But only if you get value from this. If you don't get value from it, pass on it and go on to the next thing. I'm not, asking for a handout or anything, but that small action does help a lot, so it is appreciated. All right, this is a good question. This is from Monday. Aladdin asked, what's one thing you believe about wealth that most people completely misunderstand? Thanks and appreciate all your knowledge and wisdom. So this is a good question. I think there's a lot of misconceptions around wealth for most people. I can really mostly speak to my own paradigm and what's shifted in my life that's allowed me to do better, right? I don't consider myself wealthy yet, but, hopefully here in the near future, a lot of us will be. So my dad, and a lot of your paradigm comes from your parents. So whatever they thought about money was always a problem in my house. It was never talked about in a positive light. I never knew how much money we exactly had. When we had more money, they spent more, and mostly on liability.